And they even have ventilation systems where some of the leaves will ferment. So they have leaves that are slowly decaying and fermenting, and they build them so that these leaves have access to oxygen. We have leafcutter ants. It's very common out here. And, they'll destroy plants. They just take little pieces of each leaf, and you see like a whole line of these ants. And I don't know if you've ever seen leafcutter ants hive, their colonies. They have these incredibly complex systems that they build in the ground. And the way we've found out about these things is by, unfortunately, flooding them with cement. So they'll flood these bee things, these ant colonies, these leafcutter ant, these whatever they would call these hives or whatever they call it, and then they dig it all out. And when they dig it all out after it's covered with cement, they get to see how insanely complex these structures are. So they have these little pods that they have, these areas that they have designated where they build these holes. So they dig in and they remove all the dirt, and these long tunnels. And they even have ventilation systems where some of the leaves will ferment. So they have leaves that are slowly decaying and fermenting, and they build them so that these leaves have access to oxygen. They have no idea how these leafcutter ants are communicating, how they know how to do this, how they figure this out, and how they consistently do this all over the world. Like, look how enormous this structure is that they're digging out. And this is all because they filled the entire thing up with concrete. So they're pouring this concrete. So there you see the leafcutter ants. You see the surface area. And then they slowly dump this concrete in there, which is like a fucking genocide of leafcutter ants. Unfortunately, it's the only way they can find this out. And then once they do that, once they've done it, then they allow it to harden, and then they slowly dig it out. It takes a long time. But the result is this knowledge of this insane insect that has these complex structures.
That is crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Because if you think of how tiny an ant is and how big that is, that's akin to like Manhattan. Like, what the fuck are they doing?
More.
Yeah, it's amazing. And how? What's going on? Like, how do they know how to do this? How do they know how to do this in Africa? And they also know how to do this in Texas. How do they know how to do this?
Yeah, it's
what's going on?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. Never underestimate anything, anybody.
Yeah.